Who's that guy in that orange shirt? Who must be the fence expert? Who's that guy in that orange shirt? Who must be the fence expert? It's almost time to talk about the fences. It's time to discuss operations and expenses. It's time, it's really time to elevate small businesses. It's time for Joe to drop his knowledge. It's relentless. This rhyme of mine is getting a bit ridiculous. Here we go. We're live with Joe. Enjoy the show.
Fence fam, so good to be back with you guys again for another Ask the Experts live Q&A Saturday, brought to you by the generosity from Expert Stain and Seal Products. Ashley and Caleb, the whole team, thank you so much for making this possible. It really means a lot to me and to the community. Thank you. If you guys are listening to this on the podcast, you are listening to a pre-recorded live Q&A. If you'd like to watch live and have your questions answered live, you can search for us really anywhere that social media is found. So YouTube and Facebook are the big ones, but we're also on LinkedIn. If you just search Joe Everest, you'll probably find the channel. We go live Saturday mornings. We start around 10 and we end around 11-ish, sometimes 11:30. Depends on the conversation. If you guys are listening on podcasts, they say it is good for me to ask you to leave a review, an honest review, like a several star review. I don't think I'm allowed to ask you for a specific. Anyway, leave a review. They say it's really helpful. Also, if you're watching this live, comment and like it and share it out. Those are helpful things for the show as well. Let's see. if you guys no guesses yet, so we've got a surprise guest coming on. We weren't sure if the internet issues were going to get not issues. We just weren't sure if there's going to be internet coverage where this particular person is in the world. They're here in the United States, but anyway, get your guesses in now on who. Susan, you can't say it, and that's probably a good hint. All right. Reverse. I'll give you guys a few seconds to figure out exactly or get your guesses in. We'll say hi to a few people as we're waiting. AOD, what's up? Thanks for the notification. You're welcome. And actually, it was the channel that gave you the notification, but appreciate you being here all the same. North American Fence Contract Association has their link to their business op trainings. I'm speaking there this fall. Check it out. Let's see. And then I figured out that if you hit enter while you're typing a comment, it doesn't put the rest of it up there. So I started typing out the welcome comment, and then I press enter, and anyway, I'm a fence guy, not a tech guy. Everybody knows this guy, Cannon Johnson. Morning, good morning. Good morning, Cannon. Appreciate you joining us. LTD has a good question. Hi, we're building a board-on-board fence. They're trying to do the gate portion, which is fairly large and heavy. Should we use different length of nails? Any suggestions or pitfalls to avoid? We don't really change nail length depending on width of the gate. What we do is start upgrading the post gate. Our gate frames are always steel, but we would upgrade the gate frame to a heavier wall thickness if it's really large. But the big thing is the post. Always steel post, but we would upsize the diameter and the wall thickness, and then also look at the hardware. For residential gate, we typically like the Shark hardware by Forney. We also sell Dozy Fence.store. But if it gets larger than like a standard residential, we would step up to something like a Bulldog hinge, start creating it like a commercial gate. Hope that helps. I'm not even going to try to butcher your name. I'm sorry. Greetings from Philly. Welcome. Appreciate you joining us. Susan, you can't say who. Don't say who. All right, Chris Cannon's first guess is Josh Rand. Nope. Cannon Johnson. Nope. Cannon Johnson guesses Chris Guess. Nope. Jeremy, what is up? Good morning, Fence fam. Landmark Creations. What's up, Kevin? Good morning, Fence fam. All right. There's not many guesses. Final hint. I think I put it in the comment. It's a healthy guess. I don't know if that's great. Yeah, anyway. So once we get to talking about this, you'll understand that reference, I think. I probably put the cart before the horse as far as that goes. But let's see. Divine Fence. I was going to say Divine had to guess. No, hope everyone had a great 4th and an awesome weekend. I did. All my fingers, all my toes. So that's a good idea. That's a good thing. All right, guys. Without further ado, the one, the only, Brian Frederiksen. Brian, how are you, sir?
What's going on, man?
Not much at all. Where in this great world are you at, buddy?
I'm at Shasta Lake up in California, man. I am so glad I ended up finding some signal. It's spotty, but I'm floating out in the middle of a lake in the one spot where there's signal telling everybody don't turn the engines on, don't move, drop your fishing poles, have a drink, relax for a minute.
There you go. No, we were. I made the title kind of like ambiguous because we didn't know if you were going to have good internet there. Data there.
Yeah, 20 minutes ago I didn't. I didn't 20 minutes ago. That's why it was right at the last minute. I go, keep going. We got to find it.
It's here somewhere.
Everybody was sleeping. The boat's moving.
Oh, well, Brian, I appreciate you coming on. You've got some big news to talk about.
Yep.
And you've already been pushing it or publishing it on social media, but so what's funny is I'll just give the backstory on how this conversation started. Was I saw the post on social media about the healthcare, the health insurance,
yep.
And they're on FWA Health. I was on there, and on the bottom is like for interest or to get contacted, enter your information. So, and I had our bookkeeper Holly. She also does her HR. So we were just sitting talking about it. We're going to roll it out when it's available.
Yep.
But then I saw, okay, here, let me type in here for more information. That way we'll get emails and stuff as it comes. And it was like 5 minutes later, call Brian, like, oh, Brian's giving us a call. All right. And we started chatting about it.
Yeah.
Let me do this. While we're talking about it, let me bring up the graphics here. And this is, guys, this is FWAHealth.com. Let me just drop the link in the comments. Or there it is. Susan is already on this. Thank you, Susan.
It'll change over to the actual enrollment portal during fence month, August. So, for the entire month. So hopefully if everything gets done with the portal and stuff, it'll be, and we're trying to get him to extend the enrollment since it's the first one to go a little longer. And so everybody kind of pre-registering sure does help, because we're gonna get you kind of in the system. We're not the insurance company. We're just working through, a partner with a bunch of other networks of how that works. So I mean, it's just it's funny, as I get a lot of, like I said, I get a lot of comments going, hey, is this we like Aetna, we like Blue Cross Blue Shield, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, we do too, but it only works in one area, or one county. So the challenge was. Yeah, the challenge was, I don't know if you guys remember a while back, I did a shout out. Hey, where you at? Put in the comments down below if you're interested in healthcare and what city you're in and what state you're in. And that information is what was used to kind of find the right partners for it.
Nice. Well, and I think that's probably a distinction we should talk about, Brian, in that this is great for basic coverage. Yep. Right. Which in the fencing industry is probably lacking. Now you will have outliers, and I understand for every rule there's an exception, right? But you do have companies that are providing healthcare, and that's fantastic. But I would guess, and this is one person's guess, that the majority of the industry, the companies in the industry aren't offering a health insurance plan, right? We looked at it. Group health insurance for companies that are under 50 employees. Very expensive. It's really unapproachable. We've looked at it several times, and not to get political, but this is a political subject, right? It's a subject that has been made political. But pre-Obamacare, we had group health insurance, right? But the medical insurance system changed, and we've priced it several times since then. It's not approachable. It's just not. Our solution was, we found a private medical facility. So what do they call this? Concierge medicine or whatever, where it's a group of 6 doctors that got tired of dealing with medical billing and medical, the hospital deals. They started their own clinic, and it's just private healthcare. We signed everyone up for that, and it's great. I don't want to say anything about that, but it's just not the same. It's a private medical. There are benefits and drawbacks to this. But when the first time I saw, so you started teasing this a little while ago, and I was paying attention. So we started seeing pictures of you having meetings, and we said healthcare is coming to the industry. And I said, this is how we get legitimate health insurance to our people. That's not private medical. It's full medical. I don't know how else to describe this.
And it is going to, I mean, it's going to be different everywhere. Obviously, there's network and in-network, out-of-network stuff. Like any healthcare, nothing's ever going to be perfect by any means. But we were lacking in our industry was the ability to retain our employees. We had employees leaving, even myself over the years, that had to go and work for a hotel or something, on the strip. Not because, and these were awesome fence installers. They've been installing most of their life, but they got married, had a kid, and they needed to, and they took a job for, we're paying $30 an hour. They took a job for $25 an hour or $20 an hour because it had health insurance. So we're losing people out of our industry because we couldn't offer them the basic stuff. And when I say basic and minor, which is what this starts at, a lot of those prices that you see on there, that's most of the stuff that you use, the preventative stuff, and going to urgent care, going to your primary care, going to a specialist, and getting, when your kid gets sick, being able to go get an antibiotic shot or something. I mean, it's the stuff that you need, and the preventative stuff is what makes it to where you can hopefully avoid a lot of the major stuff.
Right. Well, and it's, and there is major medical insurance available, right? So we have in our company, and just using this as a sample size of one, we've got this private medical, and that's great. But we also had a daughter 2 years ago, and I've got a son that's turning 6 on Monday who runs into walls like the Kool-Aid man. So he is just, the fact that we haven't been in the hospital yet is very impressive to me. But we know it's coming, right? Like it's just, I see this kid and how he acts and what he's teaching his younger sister to do. And it's just, I know it's going to be a fact of life. So we have major medical. But you and I were talking before this. Now, this is going to vary state by state, but for us, a family of 5 on the gold plan, so not the platinum, not the silver, just the Goldilocks gold plan,
Yep.
$1,200 a month.
Yep.
In our area, that's a house payment.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
I understand that varies state to state too. But in our area, that's a house payment that we're paying for health insurance that arguably we don't use.
Yeah.
I mean, we're paying this money for the what if in life, and that's a lot of what if. That's a lot of what if.
Yeah, I think me, my wife, and just one of my kids is $1,800 a month, and we're gonna honestly, like I said, I'm not the health insurance provider by any means. I mean, I'm just a fencer that tried to meet with a ton of people to put all this together, and kind of what I thought we needed as a fence company for myself as well. So we're not the insurance company, but definitely being able to have something a little bit more cost effective is going to get people at least in the door with the insurance, at least keep them there.
Absolutely. So let me kind of scan looking for the prices. So,
but there are going to be some plans available for dental, vision, and even if you can afford the $400 to $600 a month, there's going to be some of those plans for people as well. Once this open enrollment happens, all that stuff was almost done when I announced it, and it's pretty much wrapped up now. You're going to be able to actually add dental, add vision. That's all for an extra charge. Or if you want, if you want major medical, you can add that. I'll be honest. I have health insurance like you do. I think I've used telehealth twice. I don't use it much. I mean, us guys, I guess maybe we don't use it as much, but for my wife and my daughter, I mean, they got a lot of stuff they have to get checked and done to avoid stuff becoming major.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so what we're talking about, I'll probably, I mean, at $1,200 a month, I can go to the ultimate plan, which for a family, let me switch back over screens here. So for a family, $410 a month. And I can add major medical, and I could probably add vision and dental onto that and still be under $1,200 a month. You know what I mean? And that's if I was paying full. We were kind of sharing before what my plan is, and plans are always subject to change. But for what we're paying for the private medical, we also pay AFLAC on all of our team members. Yeah. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Like, listen, I sat through the sales pitch and I fell for it. But for the price of those, we can do the fresh plan, $95 an employee. We're going to cover that. And then anything above and beyond, if they'd like to upgrade the plan or if they'd like to add spouses or families or whatever, they can absolutely do that. But I mean, at $95 a month, and that's just, that's obviously not the entry, not the basic. The basic $60 a month for an employee to be able to offer health insurance. Yeah. Wildly approachable.
I don't see if we don't roll this out to our industry and start introducing it, we're going to start losing even more people in a time right now when we can't find people to work. So I think being able to offer this, you're going to also not only retain yours, people are going to find out, hey, Joe over there offers health insurance. You're going to get people jumping from other companies to come work for you. All it's going to take is one guy in the city to set the new standard for how it is. And I don't think any of us as a fence company can't afford $60 a month for our guys. I mean, first off, I mean, if one of them gets sick on a Monday, it's going to increase the odds of them coming back Tuesday or Wednesday, opposed to taking the whole week off if they get sick.
Yep. Well, and we had talked before on the phone. We were talking on the phone last week about just the telehealth option. Yeah. Being able to telehealth into a healthcare professional to diagnose or whatever, rather than waiting to get into a doctor's office, rather than waiting to try to get into. So what we see, and not necessarily with our team, but just in the public, is if you can't get into the doctor's office, you go to urgent care and you sit and you wait. And
it's horrible. Horrible. Yeah. Now you got to check in online. You got to do it anyway. It's more work to sign up and check in, do all your disclosures, everything online to go to urgent care than it is just to log into telehealth. So have you ever done telehealth before?
No, I haven't. I'm pretty excited. I started reading up on it. It sounds like it's really slick and easy.
Yeah, you just you dial in, but once you get set up, I mean, the first time you got to do all the paperwork are basically online. But after that, I've used it a couple times, and it's nice. I mean, a doctor comes on your screen, open your mouth and stuff like that, whatever they want you to do, pull in your ear, I don't know, whatever they
Yeah.
tell you. But where does it hurt? You tell them, and most of the time, if it's just something, they got to write you a prescription for something, and
Right.
they call it into your pharmacy near your house. I mean, that's how it is for me. I don't know if that's how all of it is, but and you just go pick it up and you're done. I mean, it's a whole, instead of a half a day to a day gone, you just spent 45 minutes.
That's slick. That is really slick. And talking about prescriptions, that's another thing I saw in here. So some of the minor plans out there don't include prescriptions, but it looks like this does. Even on the basic, it has discount prescriptions available.
Yeah, and I'm sure that'll vary, depending on what it is and where you are and things like that. Sure. But I mean, honestly, I think I'm gonna end up throwing my guys on the fresh or above that one.
Yeah. I think fresh is where we're going to end up with everyone. And then, like I said, that's what we're going to cover. And then if they want to upgrade to the enriched or the ultimate, absolutely fine. I mean, that's what I'm planning on doing with my family. But yeah, then you get into, all these pharmaceuticals fall in different tiers as to what they are and how necessary they are and all that. But yeah, you've got brand, you've got generic. I mean, it's a really solid coverage, especially guys, when you look, I mean, I'm in the Facebook groups, right? I see the conversations going on. And I think part of this understanding needs to be that the price point needs to be considered, right? For what is being offered at this price point. As I said before, it's incredibly approachable for getting your guys on. If they would like to, upgrade, that's fine, or purchase additional coverage, whatever, that's fine. But when we look at the majority of our team members, at least when the private medical, hardly any of them use it anyway, right? Yeah. There's something to be said that it's hard to get into the doctor, that it's hard to schedule time and all that, which is where telehealth comes in. But my view on this is a win, and I've got my hand up, and we are standing in line. Like I'm ready to bring everybody on board.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah, and it's I mean, if I wanted to just bring health insurance to the industry, and you'd be amazed. I mean, it would have been done in a week if all I cared about was just introducing health insurance at $400, $500, $600 a month. There's a million guys. I had them lined up. That would have been taken care of in a week. It wouldn't have taken a year. The hard part, I kept going back to them. I say, this isn't going to work. I get it. You'd love to have access to all the members and our networks and marketing and all that stuff. And I'm sure you would sell some policies at $400, $500, $600 a month if you could figure out how to make it convenient for our members and people we know to sign up. But that's not going to change our industry. That's not going to help. I need an entry point that the fence companies will have no choice but to just say, hey, I'm just going to give it to my guys, because it's not going to wipe out their bank accounts every month. I go, and then you're going to find people will start upgrading. There'll be no reason not to. But we have to be able to introduce something that people can actually afford. And I think there's a disconnect from the health insurance companies, even to like our industry, even landscape, all this other one. This hopefully spreads into other ones. We're going to encourage other associations. Even if you're a member of another association, we're going to be like, hey, just tell them about it. Get them some health insurance. Sure. Whatever we can do to jump them on it. And the more people we get on board, because how health insurance works, it renews and it changes every year. Yeah. So it's going to give our partners on this more leverage to go in and negotiate even better rates, hopefully, and better coverage and things like that. And then other carriers will jump on board and say, we want a piece of that. Well, we'd like to bid on that. Things like that. The hardest part was setting up the first one. Yeah.
The first several years will be the toughest until you can then meet with these companies and say, hey, here is historical data. Here are how many members we have here, and they can look at losses and they can look at all that, and then have a really good idea. Right now, it's speculative, because there isn't any historical data. So there is a significant chance it gets better from here.
And I took a gamble because I basically know I have to get at least 25 people signed up in order to even activate it. Then it's just one up, one down. But and I've already got 100 people ready to go. So we're not worried about getting it initiated. on there. But and it is obviously the first one's the hard one to set up this whole thing and trying to introduce it. But we're not going to be managing it. It's going to be the healthcare providers and stuff. It won't be us. But FWA's never taken the easy route on anything. We don't mind being the first.
Well, this when we're talking about industry changing milestones, this is one.
Yeah,
bringing health insurance to the industry. This is an incredible milestone, and like you said, there's a very real chance that this is only the starting point, right?
Yeah.
That it gets the coverage, maybe gets expanded later or gets improved. Yeah. Who knows? The future is the future, right? It's not set in stone, but as a starting point, this is incredible.
Yeah.
You and I talked about it, and it may just viewing these graphics, I was like, we're going to sign up for this and give it a go. I mean, there's no reason not to, because to your point, other industries in our community are offering health insurance just included as a benefit. We've got Amazon. We've got an Amazon fulfillment center out of here, which anyone with Amazon within a 2-hour reach of you is competing with them for team members. They start at $20, $25 an hour. It's all the benefits. It's all of the everything. As a fence company, how do you compete with that? This is one of the ways.
And wages isn't just it. I mean, just paying them more and paying them. Hey, I'm going to pay this guy $300 a week or $300 a day, and they do care about it. But the benefits are a bigger deal than I even ever thought. And I guess only because I could afford health insurance. But I mean, the average guy can't put $500 a month towards himself and his wife and his kids, individually.
No. And we've had that conversation with folks that we were, trying to convince to come over to our side, right? They would be a great addition, and they were in other industries, and they said, listen, I can't leave without insurance. Like if you had insurance, and I said, well, we've got this private medical. They're like, we're set up with our doctors. Like we like going to who we like going to. So it's, it just made sense to offer this out. So
it's exciting. I was excited about having it when it finally came back, and I saw the numbers. I was just I was like, what? I'm like, that's better than I'm getting right now. I'm like, I'm ready to introduce it to all my guys. I was jazzed.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I was that weekly? My exact words to him. I go, I didn't have a meeting until like 2 days later on it. And because the guy was out of town, our partner on this. And I finally, he goes, well, I want to do this in person. I'm like, I have a couple questions. My first question was, is that weekly?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You see $60. You're like, that number does not compute for me. I don't know.
Okay. When I go,
Oh. Mark, can you check the Facebook feed? I got a notification in that. Okay. Got it.
Hopefully it's just the beginning though, Joe. I mean, we end up expanding it even beyond there. And like I said, once they see it all, I don't have all the details because like I said, I'm not the insurance provider, and I'm not the one selling it technically. We're just kind of helping get everybody together, and then it'll just kind of grow on its own. But there's other things to do besides this. And I do think a lot about how do we validate our industry? And obviously, if everybody knows me, I don't think government regulations is the way to validate our industry. This is how, if you know me, you know that. This is how you do it. Make our industry legit and make people look at us and say this isn't just a bunch of handymen out there building fence. This is an actual trade, a skilled trade, not just something anybody can go buy materials for and install.
Yeah, this is something you're absolutely right. This is another step in legitimizing our part of the construction industry.
Yeah.
Let's check in with a few people. I've seen a few comments come through. Divine Fence, absolutely. Great guest pushing the industry. I think that's worth noting here, Brian, that the FWA and yourself at the helm, like this obviously isn't the first thing that you guys have rolled out that's really made ripples in the industry. I just want you to know that it's noticed, right? That you are absolutely pushing the industry. And back up for a second, Brian, how long has FWA been around?
About a year and a half.
But I was going to say the last year, there have been significant ripples made in the industry. Right, significant changes that obviously FWA is helping to initiate, is pushing the ball in that direction. So I think kudos are in order for just where you've gotten in the first year. I can't imagine what the industry looks like 5, 10, 15 years from now.
Yeah.
Huge.
It's fun. There's a lot to do. Honestly, I'm one of those people. I fail more times than I succeed on any of this stuff. I guess I'm just not afraid to look bad and fail. It's the only thing. I'm just like, I'll throw 10 ideas at the wall, see which one sticks, and if everybody gets behind it, then that's the one I push. But if we don't do stuff like that, and if it takes a year for 15 people to decide whether we should even try something, what happens in 5 years? Nothing. So that's the reason I have to do it this way.
And I think you see that different instances too, right? So you see, major corporate companies move a little slower than the new companies, right? Yeah. Because the new companies are more agile. They don't have boards to answer to that, to your point, have to make, plans by having these groups and by voting everything in and having subcommittees and all that, which just not saying one is better or worse than the other. I'm just saying that, a battleship moves a little bit slower than a pleasure craft, right?
Yeah.
It's just the nature of the beast.
And I'm not delusional or living in a fantasy world. I know at some point, as this thing's growing and more people get involved, it's going to slow down how fast I can implement something. Sure. So I have a short period of time when I can just go gangbusters and not have to worry about anybody questioning me or doing anything, and I can fail and keep trying. And I could drive. The difference is I don't have this fiduciary responsibility that a large company has, that's been doing this for a while and has board members and bylaws that every decision has to have a return on their investment. And don't get me wrong, that's in the long run, that's a more stable platform, right? Sure. For 20, 30 years, I don't have that. I could drive FWA into the bottom of this lake, doing what I think is right. Sure. And there's nothing anybody can say about it. And that's a certain amount of, it's dangerous in a way, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it gives me the flexibility to just say, this is what I think the industry needs, and go for it. And it's nice. It is a nice freedom, but it's going to change. It won't always be like that, because I can't go like this nonstop for 10, 15 years. It's going to take a board, and it's going to grow to the point where it's going to take, a lot of people to manage it. And I'm aware that that's coming, but until then, get ready.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. Yeah. 20 years from now, FWA might look like that, with boards and committees and subcommittees, and that probably is the natural progression of things. But the fact that you can see that and recognize that and say, hey, now's the time. Let's push this ball now. That way, when we get to there, we're really managing what we've already started.
Yep. That's the plan. And that's why you see me going so fast. Otherwise it'll stall out, and I'll end up with, like I said, a board of 10 people, and then I'm stuck, man. It's just gonna grow so slow that you'll just be like, hey, whatever happened to FWA? I don't know. I haven't seen him. I see Brian on Facebook every once in a while out of the lake, but that's it,
Yep. That probably is the natural progression. Corey's got a question, and we may have already talked about this. This question was a while ago. The difference between major and minor medical. Do you have a great way of summarizing kind of the differences there?
Well, major medical is going to be anytime you got to go to the hospital, or if you get cancer, you get some of these other things that's going to take stuff beyond going to your primary or your specialist. So if Sure. This is just my interpretation of it. Mind you, I'm not a healthcare person at all, but I deal a lot with the healthcare industry, for some personal family stuff. So, your minor stuff is going to be your preventative stuff, for your wife or your daughter, mammograms, things like this, the checkups they have to have. And even us, at the 50-year-old thing that we got to do, things like that, right? And then going and getting your checkups, your blood work, and all that's part of your minor. And then also going to telehealth would be another form of it. Urgent care, if you get a broken arm, anything they can handle at the urgent care that doesn't require the emergency room in the hospital. Your primary doctor, like if you get if you pick one or get assigned a primary one, and then a specialist. This is actually structured like a PPO too, so you don't need a primary to go to a specialist, which is nice. If you know much about the health insurance, HMO and PPO. It's structured like a PPO, so you don't need to go to your primary to get a referral to and this is what I'm understanding. So keep in mind, this will all have to be discussed. We're not signing people up for healthcare. You'd have to discuss this at the time, but and look at it a little bit more detail. They'll have a lot more details, but and then the specialty visits and things like that. That's all your minor, including your dental, vision, things like that. If you want to add that, major is going to be the hospital. But for myself, I've had 3 kids that are all older now, and been married most of my life, and when it comes to that, so most of that stuff, like if you do have to go to the emergency room, and I'm not saying I'm not going to encourage anybody to ever take advantage of the system, but I'm talking this not FWA, not healthcare. I'm talking this on a personal level now. If you have to take your kid to an emergency room, or if you have to take you or your wife to the emergency room in the United States, you don't need health insurance to go in. They're going to keep you alive if you're in there for a week, and you're going to get a bill, for the emergency room.
Right.
The difference is minor stuff. They're not. You can't go to your primary doctor. And you can't go get prescriptions. You can't go get, specialty visits and telehealth. You can't do any of that without health insurance. So that means if you don't have minor medical coverage, what happens is the only way you can get help is to go to the emergency room. That's it.
Yep.
And that is a major inconvenience in your life, and everything turns into this large bill. So what could have just been, a prescription for some antibiotics turns into a day at the hospital emergency room, and they'll still get the same prescription probably, but it's just going to be more expensive and a lot more of it's a strain on our society.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. It's the reason why you hear people that legitimately need to go to urgent care that wait 7 to 8 hours to get in, because that's the only option for some people that don't have insurance, is that because they know, to your point, they cannot be turned away, right?
You can't.
So they're going to
We have free healthcare. I don't care what anybody says in this country. You might as well call it free, because you go, I'm not encouraging anybody to do this by any means. You go to the emergency room with your kid with a broken arm, and guess what they're going to do? Or if you're not feeling well, they're going to hook you up to an EKG machine. They're going to check your heart. They're going to do all that stuff, and they're going to give you what you want. They're going to give you a bill. You ain't got no money. Medicaid's going to come in, or whatever that agency that comes in is probably going to wipe it out, or you're going to give them $10 a month for the rest of your life. I don't know how it works exactly, but you know what I mean? You're not going to get turned away. We don't let people just die in the emergency room because they don't have health care. But I don't think that's the responsible thing for our industry, is just tell all of our guys that you got to go to emergency room if you get hurt, or go on our workers' comp,
No, and then get saddled with that payment for the rest of your life. I mean, that's not a good solution either.
I believe they just passed laws now to where they can't report it on your credit anymore. I think that was recent on your health care.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, so I've got a buddy that's a financial advisor, and he helps people kind of get their finances straightened up and all that. And he said the number one thing he sees as far as like dinging your credit score was health collections.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the natural progression is you get the bill, you don't pay the bill, they set you up on payments, you don't make a payment. The first payment you miss, you get reported. And then it goes to healthcare collections. And then that sits on your credit forever.
Yep. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that just changed to where they can't report it to you, which is really nice, because you could have stellar credit, and all of a sudden it's just wiped out by a medical bill that wasn't something you signed up for as a loan,
Right.
And
you didn't have a choice that you got in a wreck, or you didn't have a choice that you got really sick, or whatever it is.
Yeah, so I think that's the major difference is minor. It literally, if you use it properly, hopefully it'll prevent a lot of the major that you're gonna have to do. But you should, if you can afford major, get it major too. Obviously, I mean,
that's our plan. That's my personal plan, is that we're going to go to the ultimate here and tack on some major medical, because like I said, I've got a 6-year-old who likes skydiving off the back of the couch, right? So one day that's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
We're going to get the major medical for the what if, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Shane Catton says, "What is up, Fence fam?" What's up, Shane?
What's up, Shane?
He goes on to say, "Great work on this, Brian. FWA strong."
Thanks.
Yeah, this is the truth. The little ones have magnets in their head. They got my 6-year-old absolutely does. How we haven't had anything really wrong with him. Well, what was it? My granddad used to say something to the effect of like, until they're 10, their bones are made of rubber.
Yeah.
They can just bounce off stuff.
Yeah. We were saying that last night. You could drop a kid, and when they were, it's amazing they all survived us.
Right. Especially like, and I'm going to start aging myself, because I always thought it was funny. Like when my parents said it, they're like, well, back when I was a kid, we did this, that, and the other, and we wound up okay. Like, okay.
Yeah. We're like, look at us. We're fine.
Right. Hey, kids, you don't need to drink filtered water. I drink water out of the hose, and I'm mostly fine. So
I've had a consistent cough for the last 15 years, but I'm good.
it's probably unrelated. It's probably
But
not related.
Did I die?
Exactly. Really hot summer. It tasted a little rubbery in the water, but that probably wasn't anything big.
Yeah, I don't remember sunscreen. I guess, I know we couldn't have got sunscreen because I wasn't allowed in the house. So, I don't know when they applied this or when that was, when you got it. But I think every day when I was a child was like an episode of Survivor. It was just like, where am I?
Yeah. So we moved back to Missouri when I was 12. So this had to be when I was 10 or 11. There was an arcade that was kind of down a highway and off an off ramp. We'd ride our bikes there, down the side of the interstate, take the off ramp, then you're there. How did we not just get swept off the road by a semi? I don't know.
When I was a kid, they used to have to remind my parents they had kids, and it would be like 10 o'clock. The TV'd come on. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are?
Well,
right.
I think about that every time I shut my truck off, because now I'm sure there's some government regulation now. It dings on me on my screen. Have you checked your back seat?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Tools they're fine.
I don't know how many hot cars I sat in. I don't think they would turn around and go, "Don't you move. Don't you get out of this car before I get back." And you'd be sitting in there sweating.
Like it's sauna. We got saunas for free back in the day. Cannon says it's really amazing to me what the FWA has accomplished. I absolutely agree.
Thanks, Cannon.
Cannon's got several that we're going to talk about. So Fearless Leader and Brian have surrounded himself with some of the top talent in the industry. Kudos to all of this. Hats off to you, and thank you for your service. I think that's worth discussing too here, Brian, is you've made some pretty strategic decisions about the people that you've surrounded yourself with too. Yep. So while you are absolutely driving the bus, you've got a great support staff and a team around you set up to set you up for success.
Yeah, I do very little. It's actually Susan and Letty, and we got Sean Kinga. We have a lot of conversations. It's with my office staff. If you ever come in there, man, even out here, they're responding to emails. They're talking to people on the show. They're they're approving FWA memberships, and it's a bigger team than people think. It may started out as just me, but it's actually grown. It takes a lot to keep this beast going at this point.
It must have taken a lot just to send all the membership cards out.
And yeah, every time I say, sometimes I don't even announce to the team what we're going to be doing. I'm like, yeah, we're going to send membership cards out. What?
All of
you
them?
mean we're going to be sending membership cards out? Like, yeah, get a machine. I don't see any reason why all the members don't have a card and they can't scan the back of it with a QR code. So they're like, I guess that's what we're doing.
This is what we're doing now.
Right. And it ends up coming together. They always pull off whatever crazy idea I come up with.
Absolutely. Divine says being able to offer healthcare is a game changer. We see a lot of potential candidates walk away not having good options. This is awesome. Great job, FWA.
Cool.
I think you're spot on when you're talking about that this is going to open the doors up to a significant labor pool that we may not have had access to in the past.
And they didn't look at it as a viable place to work.
Sure.
Well,
or that, and I'm not going to get into unions and non-unions and all the rest of that, but that is one of there are several strong unions in our market that's their key selling point is come join the union. We'll get you set up in a company. We'll get you all your benefits. And so this goes a long way in helping with that.
Yeah. Hopefully we can add to it. I mean, I think once we get everybody in this circle of doing this, we can actually start doing some other stuff, providing a little bit more information on the financial stuff when it comes to investments and retirement and things too.
Sure. Well, like I said earlier, I absolutely view this as the starting point, right?
Yeah.
And this is a heck of a starting point.
Yeah. It was a challenge, but I think it was worth it. Like I said, I pushed off a lot of people. I mean, I must have had meetings after meetings with companies like Aflac, and Aflac's great. I mean, but it's not. It doesn't fill a health insurance gap. And no matter how they tried to, them and a couple like that tried to pitch it to me, it's not the same. It was not anywhere near what you'd call health coverage.
No, it's kind of catastrophic coverage in a way.
Yeah.
So we had a team member use it a couple years ago, and in their particular case, it worked out. This guy, and actually he was at home, ended up rolling his ankle.
Yeah.
And he broke some of the ankle bones or something. Unless I'm a fence guy, I'm not a doctor, but he did something in his ankle to where he was on light duty for 3 months. He couldn't go out, and now his primary role was on an installation crew. So that wasn't happening. So Aflac stepped in. I think it was something like 75% of his take home is what they reimbursed, which isn't fantastic, but it also helped keep his kids fed. In that instance, this was fantastic. Have we used it again in the last 3 years? Nope. So we need to take that into account here too. Which of the two is going to be more useful?
Yeah. Hey, it looks like I got to get the boat moving here in a minute. We're getting close to shore. Yeah. I don't want to rush you guys out of this at all.
No. You're good. I just want to let me scan the comments to see if there's any direct questions directly for you. There's a lot of thank yous in here. A lot of thank yous in here.
Man, it's awesome. I love the feedback, man. It's exciting.
Yeah. Josh says he's looking forward to learning more about this. Great big step for the industry. So again, Susan dropped it in the comments. Here it is, FWAHealth.com. You guys, this is the page. You can go all the way to the bottom, pre-register here, name, company name, email, phone, and all that. So that as everything gets updated, you guys can jump in and be the first to know kind of what's going on.
And this will change. This whole site will change. That's just kind of like a placeholder while they're building the enrollment area. And we're also going to have at the show. I mean, they're doing a lot of work to hopefully get everything set up to where we'll have a couple booths at the Fence Show. So go to fenceshow.com and register for that. But at the show, you'll be able to actually talk to them and enroll there in theory. And then we're going to have every day, we're going to have like at least a 30, 45-minute session explaining all this inside of the education rooms.
Excellent. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
guys, let's let Brian get out of here so that the boat doesn't get beached. We don't want that. Brian, I appreciate you taking time away from your weekend to come join us and talk more about this. As everything gets ironed out on this, I'd like to probably have you on again just to try to help walk people through and make sure everyone knows what the details are.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on, man. I was excited. Like I said, I was like, I was gonna find coverage if I had to go stand on the roof. So
no, not needed. But you've always got an open invitation here, bud.
Awesome. All right, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll see you later, Brian.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Guys, this is absolutely massive. Let me go through, make sure everyone's comments get put up here. I should have said this when Brian was on, but so it looked like a flat rate plan, which is such a blessing. Probably the single greatest contribution to Fence this year, if not the decade. I'm checking out that Fresh plan too, Joe. I think Fresh is where it's going to be, guys, at least as a starting point. So when we scroll back up here, we see Fresh is $95 a month for the employee. Now, they can also add spouse. They can also add children. They can, family plan. Guys, I'm looking at this, the ultimate at $410 for me and the family, which will knock $95 off of that because the company's paying the $95. Even after purchasing major medical, so when my son, swan dives off the couch, we're still covered. This is going to be crazy good. I mean, so we've got wellness and preventative, which is where the majority of, at least in my family, the majority of where you would use health insurance is doctor checkups, well baby checkups, getting, medicine for a sinus infection, whatever, which honestly, that probably comes in here with the telehealth, which is included in the basic. So where you get into the Fresh plan is when it gets into primary care. So actually going and seeing the doctor, $15 copays, massive. Now, in Rich and Ultimate, you can get into urgent care. Ultimate, you get into specialists, laboratory, and x-rays. So the reason I'm thinking Ultimate is Jackson's going to break something. At some point, something's getting broken. An arm, a leg, a finger, I don't know. So a $50 copay for x-ray sounds like it's within my budget. And then we get into prescriptions. Family's got some prescription medication that is taken, so that would definitely be nice. The flat rate is huge, right? It is absolutely huge because as a company, we can plug that into our budget, which is what we were doing Friday. So Holly and I were sitting down Friday looking at the budget saying, okay, well, if we take out the private medical, if we take out Aflac, where are we? And I think it was something like $90 a month. So, all right, are we willing to pay another $5 a month? I think we can swing that. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I really think it's a good plan. Kevin says he's already signed up, and then thanks, Brian, for helping the industry. Absolutely agree. Cannon says government regulations not needed. Corporate bullies also need an awakening. Glad to be a member of FWA. Feel like we're finally seeing fairness brought to the industry as a whole. Absolutely agreed. And this is something that's going to benefit, the owner operators all the way up to large fence companies and everybody in between. I think this is a great step industry wide. Hello, offense. Hey guys, what is up? P-Town says, Joe, you demand. Appreciate that. Is that one? So without healthcare, you go to emergency room and run from collectors. This is a good option to get ahead of big problems and keep your team and the family's healthy and happy. Yeah, I absolutely think that's the fair point. And to our point with the telehealth and all that, you can also skip the line, right? Of if you don't have to go into urgent care or the emergency room, if you can get that taken care of by telehealth, and then maybe they do recommend that you do go in, sure. But you skip the line. And if we've got a team member that thinks they've got something going on, they can telehealth in and out without having to take time away from work, go get something checked out. I think it's a win all the way around. Mitchell Gregory says, highly interested in insurance. Thank y'all. Thanks, Brian. All right, guys. Huge deal. Let's review this. If you guys have questions, drop them in the comments below. This is huge. We can look at some minimum medical or the essential coverage and the minimum essential coverages here. But I mean, it's pretty comprehensive. I'm just kind of scanning this to see. I mean, even for minimum essential coverage, I think this is a pretty extensive list here. So covered preventive surgery or services for children. I saw alcohol and drug use assessments. Like, well, I don't know. But then I saw under 25 years of age. Oh, okay. All right. So we're calling a 25-year-old or 24-year-old a child. But I don't know about that. But yeah. So Billy Rubin, we did that for Josie when she was a baby. Yeah. So I think this is pretty comprehensive, guys. I think this is going to be good for the industry. Like I said, starts at $60 a month for just a basic coverage. I think Ken and I were both talking about this just now in the comments. Fresh is where we're going to be at. We'll cover the 95. Then if they want to add on spouse or children or roll it into a family plan, they certainly can with, treat it as a payroll deduction, that sort of thing. But I think it's going to be huge for the industry, guys. I really absolutely do. If you guys have any last minute questions, comments, etc., leave them in the comments. We'll get those answered. I'll throw this back up on the screen again. FWAHealth.com is where to go to sign up. One, to check it all out, right? So it's got all the information here, but then also scroll to the bottom, enter your information here. So as it gets rolled out, you guys can be one of the first to know that it is, whatever the news is. Hey, look at this guy. Braden Powell. Hey, Joe and Fence fam. Hope everyone's doing well. Hello, Braden. Doing well here. We hope you are doing well. Also in the did we say, I don't know that we said where you went, but we hope you're doing well where you're at. Yeah. Appreciate you joining us. All right, guys. I think we are going to start buttoning this up. Like I said, FWAHealth.org is where you can sign up to get more information. Yeah. Huge movement in the industry. I think it's impressive. And guys, listen, I think you can compliment someone without tearing someone else down without your compliment being seen as a detriment to someone else. I think this also applies to organizations. I think what FWA has done in a year is absolutely applaudable. I think Brian and his team have done an incredible job of benefiting the industry, of bringing in changes that they see as necessary. This healthcare coverage, I think this is going to be a massive step in the industry towards, legitimization. Legitimization, is that a word?
Sounds like it.
Sounds close. If it's not a word, it's really close to a word. Bringing legitimacy. There, we'll say that to the industry is something that we've been talking about for years, right? It just leveling up our industry. I think this goes a long way in that. I think what Brian has done and his team continues to do is applaudable. And like I say, I feel like I can say that without it being seen as a negative towards other organizations. I think all the organizations are doing their part in different places in the industry to make us a stronger industry. That is the mission of all of the industry organizations that I've met and been a part of. Everyone's trying to push for a better industry, and I think Brian's doing a great job. That is not me saying I don't think other people aren't doing a good job. So I think, anyway, I feel like you have to put that caveat in right now in social media, or else like things get taken out of context. So whatever. Yeah. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope everyone is having a great short week this week. If this week is weird, so with the Tuesday holiday, I saw a meme last night. Like, can we agree no more Tuesday holidays? Like, can we just make that a thing? So we made Monday optional because, some team members are traveling for the holiday. So we made Monday optional. Some of us came in, some of the team was traveling. So Tuesday was obviously off for the holiday. So we had 3 strong work days this week, and it was just not enough. I've got this theory where if you're off Monday for a holiday, whether the holiday's on a Monday or not or whatever, if you're off Monday, the rest of the week is Mondays. And I really felt like that came true this week. But irregardless, we've got full weeks on the horizon, which I say we, the royal we, as the industry. So Monday is little man's birthday, so we're taking him to the zoo. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you guys will see this in a month or two, maybe. I haven't seen the production calendar, but so Mark and I are heading out to West Virginia. Go to the Greenbrier for the Chain Link Fence Manufacturers Institute summer meeting. Say that a few times fast. At the Greenbrier, there in West Virginia. We're actually flying into Roanoke and driving out for that. So we will be gone Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So by the time I see you guys Saturday, I will have just been back from that. I'll probably have lots of information. If you guys haven't looked up the Greenbrier, you should definitely check that place out. Just incredible place in general. So it was I'm going to butcher this and get this all sorts of wrong, but they were doing a renovation to this hotel. I'll have the better story next Saturday because I'll have just gone through it. But during the renovations, they basically built a replica of the congressional not building, but like the chambers, the theater that they all meet in, to where if there was a nuclear attack, they could move Congress to underneath the Greenbrier, and like the government would just continues to run. I mean, you always hear about like the president's got like a fallback bunker where, and there's always a succession plan and all this. But it was interesting. It's interesting to hear that we're going to be at the Greenbrier, which is where the fallback plan for Congress is. Of course, the more you read about this, the more you read about conspiracy theories, which if you know anything about me at all, I'm in for that, about where the new one is. So they let the cat out of the bag on the old one once the new one was built, and they have the new plan, right? But this thing has like what looked like, those old round bank vault doors. This thing looks 20 foot across. And it's just like opens to where then you've got like the Congressional Theater. I don't know what this room is called, but everyone knows what I'm talking about, where you got the speaker at the front and you got everyone like in an amphitheater. Amphitheater is probably the word I'm looking for. Anyway, so I'm stoked for that. We will have more of that footage coming for you guys. Mark, where are we on the production calendar? It'll be easily a month, yeah, before that comes out.
I guess probably a month from today.
Yeah, so probably mid-August, something like that.
Early to mid-August.
Keep an eye out in August for this sort of content. But anyway, so next Saturday, I'll be bringing back all of that information to you guys, and we'll be chatting about that. But the big thing is the CLFMI. I always had to think about that. Chain Link Fence Manufacturer. Yeah, CLFMI summer meeting where members of the Chain Link Fence Manufacturers Institute all get gathered to hear about industry news, and we talk about the economic forecast and that sort of thing, just where the manufacturing side of the industry is headed. I'll bring updates to you guys from that meeting also, but one of the things we're going to be doing there, the reason Mark's coming along, is we're going to be creating a lot of content around there, interviewing different people in the industry that you likely have never heard of, because until I saw the list, I started reading up about who they were. I hadn't heard of them, but these are folks that are in high level positions in some companies that are on the manufacturing supply side. They're really high level companies that are providing a lot of the infrastructure, maybe not only for fencing, but fencing definitely plays a role in what they do. So headed to that next week. And then, so we'll be back next Saturday to see you guys. Yeah, listen, Braden says, I never knew you like conspiracy. Braden and I have had a lot of conversations over the last year and a half about starting a secondary channel, which is only about conspiracies. Because listen, I'm in. Like, I love a good conspiracy, and it doesn't even have to be true. Like, you could, for example, Moon's Hollow is one that I went down that rabbit hole, and there's some things that I haven't done no independent fact checking on, but that sound plausible. Never know. I like to I like to buy into everything. That way later on, if something comes true, be like, yeah, remember I said that like 10 years ago. Like, well, yeah, but you also said the moon was hollow. So, take that for what it's worth. Anyway, Braden, he and I had a lot of conversations about starting a conspiracy channel. But then I went and started a manufacturing company instead. So arguably conspiracy channel probably would have been the better choice, maybe. I don't know. So, guys, I feel like at this point I'm rambling. So I'll let you guys go. If you guys have questions, if you're watching this on a replay, drop them in the comments below. Once this replay is done, it'll go into a recorded live. I'll still see the notification for the comments. I'll still jump in and try to answer them as best as I can. For now, I'm Joe Everest, the fence expert, reminding you that good fences make good neighbors, and I'll see you next week.